seen that sustainability is a multidimensional concept, but that is not its only characteristics. In fact, it is worth focusing first on what can be defined as sustainable. Think about this electric vehicle. Can we say that this is a sustainable car? To answer this question, we find out that we must try at least to answer to several other questions. How was this vehicle produced? Maybe it was assembled in Germany or France, taking advantage of their relative sustainable energy mix. But what about their battery, which is usually the most resource and cost-intensive piece of technology inside an electric vehicle? Did it come from China? And once the car is in your garage, how are you going to charge it? Do you have photovoltaic panels on your roof? Is their power output enough to charge it, or do you need to plug it and charge it exploiting their North Italian electricity mix, which is heavily relying on natural gas electricity? But that is not all. Why are you going to use your car? How many kilometers are you going to drive in the next year? You would have bought a diesel-powered car instead, or maybe you have a viable option of going by bike to reach your very close office. We soon understand that it is hard to state that this electric car is sustainable, because at the end of the day, this depends upon a ton of other conditions. So it is better to say that sustainability is a property of systems, not of products. It is very hard to take into consideration all the complexities that are entailed in the analysis of a system. This is why we need industrial ecology. Industrial ecology is the science that studies the socioeconomic metabolism of systems, and it's doing it by studying material and energy flows. Robert Ayers introduced the concept of industrial ecology in the late 50s, and recently its contribution has been expanded by many scientists all over the world. The concept of thermodynamics are applied in industrial ecology to bring solid scientific approach to a difficult and sometimes undefined ground of sustainability. Furthermore, industrial ecology adopts a life cycle perspective. That is why we talk about life cycle analysis, focusing on system synergies that can be exploited to make a process more resource efficient. When talking about industrial ecology, we are usually referring to two spheres of causation, as Polluk and Erdős like to refer. From one side, we have the social sphere of causation, where we as humans try to fulfill our needs. To do so, we act as consumers, looking for goods and services, or commodities in general, that we can find in markets to satisfy our demanded needs. Markets are usually flooded by the outputs of industries that are producing stuff and performing economic activities. So, industries require inputs from other industries or resources from other sphere of causation, the biophysical sphere. The main focus of industrial ecologists is the frontier between these two spheres, where feedback loops may occur. Take the example of greenhouse gases. They are mostly the effect of our society burning fossil fuels, releasing carbon that would have stayed underground for thousands of years otherwise, thus increasing the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. The presence of it in the atmosphere contributes to the increase in frequency and intensity of extreme weather events, impacting the social sphere of causation by means of agricultural damages or heat wave-induced health issues. But what about the tools that industrial ecology is offering to us? We can divide them into two groups: attributional and consequential approaches. Attributional approaches are limited to the allocation of the responsibility of the impact associated with the production of a certain product among many different regions or sectors. An example can be the process-based life cycle analysis, in which impacts are distributed among the different parts of the supply chain. But we still do know nothing about the consequence of some decision that can be taken on the production or the consumption of that product. That is why a consequential approach is adopted, introducing, as you may imagine, further assumption in the model. An example of such a model is a technology choice approach, which is built upon input-output analysis that can be used also to perform attributional life cycle analysis, but we are going to talk about this in the next chapters.